Good afternoon, dear attendees. Our panelist address is the future of security and peaceful and stable and security of the Middle East. Our panelists are Mr. Admiral, the head of Mr. Muzaffer, is our former diplomat, Turkish general, and Mr. Ibrahim from Tehran University. So before we start, I want to say that the region since World War II has been unstable, and as you see, instability always continue, war and conflict continue to invade the region. As you see, if we have limited stable in the Kurdistan region, the other countries not stable. My question is, Ausseur Pascal, what's the view of France's strategy in the Middle East?
Thank you for this question. And first of all, I would say that I'm not here as an official for the French. I spent 40 years in the French Armed Forces, but right now I'm completely a think tanker, so I speak only on my name. That's the first point. The second point is that Middle East is not on the moon. It is on the Earth, and we are living on this Earth right now in the world a great rupture, historical rupture. After nearly 2 centuries of convergence towards more or less the European model, we live in a world which is diverging globally, everywhere. And that's a complete change of situation. We see the economy is still important, but less important than before. The states are more important. During the 10 years ago or 15 years ago, we have said that the states were less and less important, and the economy was NGOs and industries and firms were more and more important. Today, it's the opposite. States are important. Nationalism is rising everywhere. It means that identity issues are key. It is true in Europe. It is a reality here as well. Power struggle, power's game is more and more important. Geopolitics is back. And that clearly a change of paradigm. And it changed a lot of things. So it is not completely as the 19th century return, because at the same time we are 8 billion people, human beings on this earth, because we have much more interaction, interdependencies, flow of ideas, flow of people, and so on. So we have a mix of 19th century and 21st century. Why I'm saying that for the Middle East, and the way France or Europe, but France is looking at this region, is that all these new rules of the games are impacting the great powers, the United States, which are now challenged, which have internal problems to recreate a nation state which works, which is more focused on Asia, which less focused on Europe, probably less focused on Middle East, more focused on Asia, I told it, and more focused on their backyard, because they have now to deal with competitors which is much stronger. Russia, at the same time, will be less focused probably here in the Middle East, because their main focus is to recover USSR dominance. And so in Europe, in South Caucasus, in Central Asia, China, its main focus is on Asia, and doesn't want to be involved in geopolitics, in security, and so on. It has been said precedently. So here in the Middle East, there will be less great powers game. It gives room for medium-sized regional power. In my view, the key points are countries which have strong nation-states situation. And I see 4 countries in Middle East which are able to play a power game because they are strong inside their nation, because they have something a state which is solid enough. Turkey, and clearly we have already raised this issue before. Turkey is a regional power stronger today than it used to be 10 years ago. Israel, Iran, and Saudi Arabia, which was not the case. It was not the case 10 years ago, but today my feeling is that it's a regional player because of this nation-state building, which is higher and higher. Around them, there are a lot of countries which are much more fragile because this nation-state issues is not solved. Lebanon?
You say 4 countries.
4 countries.
The other 3.
No. Turkey,
Iran.
Israel, Iran, Saudi Arabia.
Correct.
And then around them, the other countries, in my view, much more fragile because they have not solved this nation-states issue. Lebanon, Syria, we have spoken about it a few minutes ago. Iraq. I think Jordan is in bad situation for this region as well. Yemen, and back more far away, Sudan, and so on and so on. So the real issue, seeing from my perspective, not the French authorities, but from France, I would say, is that the real issue is that it can be good or bad, I don't know, but there will be a power game, a regional power game between these 4 countries, and the risk is that the other countries could suffer from these power games between the big fours. And the question of volatility, the question of security, the question of sovereignties is at stake in the Middle East now, probably more than it used to be a few years ago because of that. And that's my point. And just a word, if I may, I don't want to speak for the French authorities, but if I want to translate what can be in the head of the French foreign ministers or President Macron, if I may, it is that today European countries, and France among them, has its own problems, looking for what I've said before, adapting the EU to this new situation. And you know, EU is completely taken by the back because we had a strategy which was post-national, post-historical, drained by the economy and so on and so on. So clearly we have now to adapt ourselves to these new rules of the game. So we will be less involved. We will be probably more cautious to fine tunings of equilibriums, preserving security, preserving sovereignties, and help to develop the economy.
اوكي ما دام ذكرت من ضمن ال4 دول اللي لها نفوذ ايران وتركيا، كيف تنظر او تتعامل فرنسا مع تدخل هذه الدولتين او نفوذها في المنطقه؟
So, how France can make its strategy in the region if they have those 4 countries that you talked about?
I would say that France will try to manage to avoid escalation in the competition between the four, try to avoid this escalation, because an escalation in intentions between Israel, Iran, Turkey, Saudi Arabia will be a nightmare for this region.
أنا لا أسأل عن التصعيد، أنا أسأل عن نفوذ هذه الدولتين وتدخلات في المنطقة، إيران وتركيا.
Could you say again? Sorry, I missed. Could you translate again? Clearly, you know, these two countries, and I have experts alongside me, have a very long history of strategic dominance in this area. Ottoman, Persian Empire, Ottoman Empire. When you listen to Erdogan's speech, his reference to the Ottoman Empire is very, very frequent. They have connections, strong connections, economically, demographically, politically, militarily as well. Military actions in Iraq from Turkey is very frequent. The connections between Kurds, Turkish Kurds, Iraqi Kurds, Syrian Kurds, Iranian Kurds, it has been said in the panel before, are very strong. So clearly there are some interests for these two countries to be part of the game. And you know the resistance axis from Iran in this area is, you know it much better than I do. So clearly, as the US will be less present, as the EU will have other focus, as Russia will be very back to his backyards and more stronger, as you have seen, there will be room for them. I guess my colleagues will develop it, but there will be rooms to be more in charge of, or looking themselves as in charge of managing the regional stability, the regional development, and they have ideas for that. And so it seems to me, maybe because I am a former military, it seems to me blatant that there is a risk to have confrontation, competition, and maybe confrontation between these four powers. The two others, Saudi Arabia and Israel, are less, have no empire historic, but they have their strategy, and we all know that they have strategies in the region, and so there is a risk of an escalation between the four. The two, and you will probably develop or not, and the four. And the issue for the other country, for these four countries, and for the other countries, is to try to manage, to be aware of the risk, the very strong security risk that is now in place in this region. And paradoxally, because the US have made a lot of trouble in this region, but at the same time, the US, a big hegemon, can, if he makes no mistakes, can settle down the tensions. He will be not there again, never again in the near future. So the question will be how to manage for these four regional powers with the other countries to avoid an escalation and a dramatic situation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Akyildirim, Turks, Arabs, and Persians, and also the Kurds, they are the biggest nations in the region, at least regionally. Where is the position of Kurds in the strategy and policy of Turkey?
Teşekkür ediyorum Sayın Moderator. Let me
Thank
thank you, Mr. Moderator. I started with Turkish because I understand a lot of audience also speaks, or at least some understand some Turkish. Thank you very much for the floor. As requested very late, at the late moment, and I prepared my presentation for your visual understanding of what is Turkey thinking about in general, what's going on in Middle East. So I will make sure that you both hear me and see my presentation slides so that it will stay in your mind and in your heart. Okay, next, Mohammed. In the backside, there is a good force of people who are going to change the slides. So let's start, wait a little bit. Okay, let's wait for that, but before I can introduce correctly myself that I am an ex-military officer, 19 years in Turkish Armed Forces, and 25 years in Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs. My work background in MFA is mostly based on the NATO-EU issues. So I have been deployed 3 times in Brussels. But due to my internal request, I wanted to see and feel what's going on in other regions of the world, like Middle East and Central Asia, as we call Turkestan. So if you are very curious in Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they say, okay, we are deploying you to Afghanistan. And that's my diplomatic career in the second half of my ministry started. Right now, I am a retired both officer and diplomat, and my last posting was in Kazakhstan as the Consul General. Currently, as you see on the slide, that next to my name, there are 2 very specific emblems. On the right side, it says GFI, which is Geopolitical Foresight Institute, which is a think tank in Turkey that we recently established. On the other side, you see BDU. It is the Businessmen and Diplomats Union organized in Istanbul, and they asked me to join to their consultative committee. So I am speaking for myself, not for the government, but with a 25 years of Ministry of Foreign Affairs experience, plus, as I said, 19 years of military work in Turkish Armed Forces. So when it comes to the subject that what is Turkey's perspectives on Middle East security issues in general, I would like to remind you what Bernard Lewis said in his book of Middle East. He says, those who are unwilling to confront the past can neither understand the present nor the future. That reminds me that Turkey's past in the Ottoman times or back to Central Asia through Seljuks and the other 16 Turkish empires or states. But the last one, as we have gained our independence with a big independence war in 1920s, with the leadership, under the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the Republic now is more than 100 years old. And we are also having the experience of being 100 years, more than 100 years of experience in the region as a democratic, parliamentary-based state with the multi-vectoral relationship in all directions, in Europe, in the East, in South and North. Next. So to make sure that you understand what I am going to start based on historical background, you see on the slide that where does those Turks come from? I'm not going into that much detail, but from Tuğrul Bey to Selahattin Eyyubi, from Muzaffer Gökberi, whose tomb is in Erbil, as you most of you know, to Süleyman Shah, whose tomb also is next to the Syrian border, and not to mention the Ottoman sultans, Sultan Murat, who was in Baghdad, and Sultan Yavuz Selim, who was in Kahire, in Egypt. So we have in this region a brotherly, mentally, and heartfully big connections and big relationships, cooperations in the past. Next. So let's come to the current situation. As my colleagues said, we are now living in a geopolitical phase of the reinventing the geopolitics. In the past, Ibn Khaldun said, geography is destiny. And currently, I define it as geography is geopolitics. So you don't read in your high school that geography is just only rivers, mountains, and what you produce. It is what you hold, and it is what you can get benefit of within your borders, within your country's geographic location. Therefore, we are talking about mainly geopolitical problems coming from the definition of geopolitics from Mahan to Mackinder. I don't want to go into that detail, but this slide and the map shows you that Middle East, and especially in the core of the Middle East, Turkey, provides you a perfect insight that all the routes for trade, energy, infrastructure, transportation goes through this region. And all of the major wars were happened in this region because of the energy, because of the transportation, and because of the trade and the markets necessities of any key actor of the world. And Turkey and the Turks were one part of it since their presence in the history. And on the slide you see that 5 different emblems of international organizations surrounds us. They are NATO, which I have worked more than 10 years. EU, I worked for 4 years. Organization of Turkish States, which I have been deployed in Afghanistan and Kazakhstan for more than 6 years. And unfortunately, I haven't been in SCO, I mean the Shanghai Cooperation Organization borders, except Kazakhstan, but I didn't have too many contacts. And the BRICS, the 5th organization, which currently is trying to involve and get much more better partnership in terms of economical development, not only for himself, but also for Middle East. Believe or not, Turkey's development is directly related with the region's development. And in my future slides, you will see that if we invest and develop together, we will win together. Next slide.
Mr. Eldrim, my question was very clear. These slides were prepared before I asked my question. My question was...
I know, but geopolitics is so deep that, of course, I was told that please provide the Turkey's military perspectives for the region, so I am going into that. I will pass through quickly. The last slides are important for your questions, please. Okay, so let's go a little bit quick. Next slide, yes. Here are the delicate facts about the Middle East. You can read on the slide. I will just highlight some key points. This region was the center of the civilization, not only for this region, but also for the world. This region was the birthplace of lots of different issues like ethnical, religious, languages. And there were historical rivalries, wars. Even human tragedies, but also miracles happened in this region. And energy and main routes are of utmost importance since the centuries. Next.
Still, you didn't answer my questions.
One moment.
Still, you didn't answer my questions here.
The transitions and challenges that we are and the region facing now is depicted on the slide. I will tell you just one key issue over here is the settlement and the cohabitation is the key issues for any country in this region. Next slide. And what is the Turkey's roles in the current geopolitical environment? Again, I am going to very specific on and provide you highlights, not reading everything and speak all about that. If we are going to develop this region, we need two things. First one is leadership. Second one is involvement of all actors, all nations around, making sure that we have on the track of right idea, objective, and the solutions. Next, please. Yes. What Turkey provided recently in regional and global initiatives as an initiative or involvement or interaction, you can see on the slide. Let me just also highlight one key point. The global balance and global stance is important. So, as all participants today, from the high level to the current panel, we are all, I understand, are agreed that we have to make cooperation for solidarity, and we have to develop multi-vectoral collaborations. The rest is on the slide. This is the very key issue. To make sure that I use the timing correctly. Okay, next.
Next.
Another. I believe it's
Sir,
interesting.
Please answer my question.
Thank you.
This is not a lecture.
Yeah, I know.
Or history.
Thank you.
Just my question.
Just 2 slides.
No way. We don't have time.
Very quick. Okay.
Sir, we don't have time.
Look at this slide.
Let me
What
go.
you see in the green eclipse or circle is the core of the world, and we are in the Middle East. Next slide, please.
Please, can I go to the...
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm going to
Mottaghi?
finish in 1 minute. Just give me 1 more minute. I will skip this, but just tell you, we have to develop cooperation in security and defense and develop together and win together. And with this approach, the vital importance of security and defense goes along with the geopolitical, geoeconomical, and geostrategic synergies. Coming to last. What we have as an opportunity or opportunities in order to tackle old and new challenges. We have a historic opportunity to renew ties and shape the future. We have to leave wait and see option and make more consultative relationship among us. We shouldn't allow being a migration center and breeding ground for extremism and terrorism. Cooperation on humanitarian, reconstruction, and economic stability efforts are the key important issues. And long-term perspective is needed to recover and implement two-state vision in the region, especially in Palestine. Next. My last slide will be what we have as a collective commitment that we have to focus, work, and finalize our homework is here. This is Turkey's general perspective, but my wording, not official government wording. We should invest and contribute to the regional development projects like the development road in Iraq. We should improve local life, city infrastructure, and employment by developing development road type of projects. We have to solve root causes of mass migration and terrorism. We have to prevent further turmoils and destruction of societies. We have to advocate territorial integrity and sovereignty of states in general and without any discrimination. We have to lead common stances against displacement of communities. So whoever lives in the region should stay there. We should,
Akyildirim,
last sentence is we have to eliminate, thank you, we have to eliminate extremism and terrorism in order to improve social and cultural fabric of our societies. My last slide is not important.
No, sir, no
there
way.
is nothing to say.
Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Ibrahim Mottaghi.
Mr. Ibrahim Mottaghi, how do you explain the interference of Iranians in the region? Are you obliged to do this interference? In the name of God.
I'm very happy that I'm visiting Erbil and I'm in a region that makes me happy, especially Mr. President Chevan Barzani and his style of his speech, and it had a lot of Kurdish and Iranian soul, and had a lot of pragmatism and active, and in my opinion, he linked all those issues together and smartly. And during the Iraq-Iranian war, and there was a lot of ideas came up in the Israel war, and Israel, US, Britain supported Iraq, and the power balance was collapsed, and Iran faced geopolitical vacuum. Uh, and, and after any country faces those issues, and Iran was in a situation where faced a lot of crises, and after the war ended, Iraq was still was a neighbor to us. And the most important idea Iran had at the time was the security, to protect security and stabilization. And the idea was to protect security, and every country wants that, to have a stable security. Yeah. Another issue is that after the war, the sanctions continue, prolong. U.S. Policies against Iran continued, and they forced it more. And, and continue to impose its sanctions. And the policy that U.S. had against Iran to prevent Iran, forced Iran to do anything, or to have a normal environment and have its normal role. For example, Turkey is a NATO member. And Turkey has been connected to European security because they are a member of NATO. But after the war, Iran wanted to have a strong infrastructure, to have a strong economy, to have a strong security, and so now you see Iran chose a policy to have a strong position in every sector, and to have and to become a close an ally with its neighbors, and try to have a normal relationship with every neighbors. And became a reason the neighboring forces who supported U.S. now, who supported U.S. during Saddam era, forced Iran turn to other ethnics, other actors to support them. Another actors turn to other actors in the region so they can benefit from them, to protect security, so they can exist more.
این کشورهایی که شما فرمودید زیر کشورها، زیر ملت‌ها، کدوم اکتورها هستن و کدوم بازیگرها هستن؟
My speech was very clear. I'm not diplomat, to like an ambassador, to talk unclear. I'm a university professor. If you cannot, your actions and your relationship with the superpowers don't have a relation with those superpowers, and they try to limit your ability. Other regional powers to turn to other actors for your prolong of your existence. You are forced to choose new allies, choose new coalitions, and this is the situations where you are forced to make all new allies and other actors become friends with other actors, and to make you strong within your country, and to become strong and to protect your security, your country's security. Iran was forced to produce a concept to have an ally, a concept that protection, defending, a defender, a concept of defending, and that's the idea that Iran came up with that in that situation, to protect and defend its nation. For example, in Kurdistan region, as Moshel Foko, the main players during the war was our ally. The Shiites, they were our ally during Saddam era. They supported us. They became our ally. Those nation or those ethnic groups became our ally. Look at the situation. Look at this subject. Palestinian state. You see the Palestinians now, they are trying to become an ally in Iran. A lot of people say Iran has an ideological policy, but you see, Marxist Palestinians are still they back or they support Iran as well. You see that they call it the Shiite crescent. They call it the defenders front, which the Iran has called has found this concept, and now this situation is about to change, changing. And Iran could, in 2003, could have a bigger role in the region, but now and this has lost this force, this power. Who can fill this power? Turkey can. Look, Turkey in Syria is trying to fill that vacuum. Now the new environment that has come up in terms of superpower, and it's just Turkey that can be able to become a balancing power, become in this region. Iran, that the role it had, even though still it's impactful, but it's not a strategic role. It's not a effective role. In 2024, it's changed toward Turkey. In my opinion, in the future, because of the important role it has in the region, and can become more powerful in the region, as well as face the new challenges. And the subject is that the division of power can become in democratic way, or it will come stage by stage. As the German ambassador said, they still have not decided on what they will decide, the Syrian. The reason is not Syria. The reason is Turkey has a big role in the Syria. They have the biggest role in Syria. That's why Iran has a big role, but they don't have the most impactful role in the region. As you see, if Iran had a pragmatic policy, strategic in 2024, they could have caused a bloody war in Syria. As you know, one of the reason that in only 11 days Assad regime fall was the Iran decided not to intervene militarily and diplomatically the game prolonged. After you talked about the security policy of Iran, Iran was the first country to open in Erbil, Iraq Kurdistan capital, and Iran was the first country to target Iran with a missile and killed civilian people. What's the link between Iraq, Iran, and Kurdistan region? How do you describe this relation triangular? Is it stable, unstable? How do you describe these relations? And my opinion is that Iran is an example, is an active example and a active role sporting, and as Iran mentions, as has a history. As you see, always has been Iran center of the sport in those countries, those superpowers who are active, who are playing in this region. The future role of the region, in my opinion, is within the frame of a democratic process that is try to improve those countries who are close to them. If targeting missile Iran is a part of the Iranian policy, if you look at it, sometimes some countries they act against its interests. I'm a professor. If you ask me, I believe, in my opinion, there is no time that there should not be should not make cause instability in Erbil and cause problem for Erbil and attack Erbil. When we have normal and friendly relations with Kurdistan region, there's possibility that those issues can be solved. I never recommend a military solution, but sometimes when the military general faced with tactics that they are implemented that they don't support it, I see other solution is possible to solve the issues. So we cannot turn to military solutions. Thank you very much for your opinions. The Kurds has a lot of victims. They have been brave fighters. They have lost a lot of people in fighting terrorism, Al Qaeda, Daesh in Kurdistan region, as well as in northeast Syria. In a strategic point of view, how France look at this issue?
First of all, I think that what my colleague said does illustrate very well the future involvement of the regional powers in the Middle East. They will be much more present because they have the feeling that their security is at stake outside. So they will act outside, as I've done it already, but I say my analysis is that the regional powers will have more free hands in the future than there used to be in the past. That's my point. Looking at the way France can see, once again, the main concern for France and for European countries, I guess, from my perspective, is that instability here will be bad for everybody, bad for the countries, bad for the region, and bad for Europe and France at the end of the day, because instability means flow of people flying countries, economic problems, energy problems, all that stuff. And as we have a lot of people in Europe now coming from Middle East, we can integrate the tensions inside our own societies. That's an issue. And more and more important issue in Europe, because you have Kurds, you have Arabs people, you have Jewish people, and so you have all this the Middle East population, you have Turks, of course. So a lot of Middle East population are now among European societies. So what could be the advice of a Frenchman to stabilize and develop this area? My view, as I told you, the main issue is the fact that in this new world, where the economy is not the alpha and omega of everything in the world, when geopolitics is back, nation state is back, the notion of nations are key. And one of the difficulties, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon is a perfect example. One of the difficulties that this country face is that there are no nation. It's not a nation state. They are not clearly, not completely nation states, and so it fragilizes the country. It fragilizes the states, and so it fragilizes the countries in these games, power games between countries. So my guess is to try to develop the spirit of unity in Iraq, in Lebanon. It's awful when you see how Lebanon have drifted away from states. Now, I don't know if the nation states of Lebanon does exist still anymore. I don't think so. And it will be very difficult for Lebanon just to exist as a state, as a nation, as a country. And country as Iraq is, it would be a nightmare just to have a Lebanon scenario here. So my point is just trying to develop progressively what have been said by the President this morning and the Prime Minister and the President of the Assembly, to develop a spirit of communality, just to be able to face the policy, the strategy of your neighbors.
شكرا جزيلا. شكرا مستر باسكال أوسور أو أوسير. شكرا سيد مظفر على السلايدات الكثيرة.
Thank you, Mr. Muzaffer, for all the slides.
شكرا لكم.
Thank you all.